I replaced the center garage door in order to fit the new RV that we have. And now instead of replacing the siding that I had to remove with the wood, we're going to use steel siding. Well, now I'm setting up my little temporary workbench. Now I need to remove all the wooden siding, the vinyl siding, all the molding that I had put on just 17 years ago. The problem with the wood siding, as you can see, is that it has a tendency to rot. And I've painted this building at least twice. Hopefully I won't have to paint it again once we get the steel up there. This garage originally was a horse barn built in 1944. There was stones marked in the inside of the building. I'd taken the large swinging door off of the center and the horse stalls out and replaced them with garage doors. And then I also poured concrete in here. And as you can see, I use it to store various tools to required around the property. In order to cut the steel, I'm going to use a standard circular saw with the blade put in backwards. And here I am putting it backwards, prepping. I'm going to cut a first piece of molding here, just using that saw. It's very quick and easy. Piece of sheet steel needs to have a little notch cut in it to allow for the ridge of the roof. So one of the problems with this job is that every piece of steel will need to be cut at least once. In this case, I ripped the bead off of it so that it would line up and not have the beads hit the joints of the garage door. Now I have to cut a little angle for the roof, and we should be ready to go. Now I'm preparing to cut the green molding for around the garage doors. We opted for a color scheme of green and white, since the roof already is green. I'm cutting these by hand because I will bend a little piece of the metal over in order to completely hide any sort of wood from showing through. And here I am with my makeshift metal bender. It worked fairly well, but I found an easier way later on. I closed the garage door so that I could drive the screws in alignment with the hinges on the garage door. I just like to have all my screws lined up like that. So that is what the joints look like. I think I did a fair job. It's the one side. And this is the side that was a little proud, a little long. Got a little slight nick in there. Scratched my thing. And there's that joint. Okay, so as I said, this inside screw is going to go in once the molding goes in. So now I need J-channel to cover up the cut end of the white steel that I'm going to have. Measuring and aligning the J-channel. I used snips to cut this J-channel for reduced chance of scratching it using the circular saw. This small cut like that is easy to do with a pair of tin snips. And clearly I need a little piece to cover that exposed wood. What's interesting is those rafters are old oak, and it's really hard to get a screw to even start in there. When I put the wooden siding up, I pre-drilled into all of that oak, and it was a heck of a time to get the nails in there without bending them. We need to make sure everything's level, because if I come across this this first garage door, if it's out of level here, all of those supports are going to be out of level, and I'm going to end up with some really strange cuts. The wooden pieces above this window are secured with screws because I was unable to get nails into that situation. It's a very thin gap. I could not drive a nail up there. So I screwed it in, which makes it a lot easier to get it off, except all the heads of the screws are just slathered with paint. So I have to spend the time to remove the paint to get the nut driver on them. at least 3 times. It needs to be angled to allow for the roof. Then a notch needs to be cut out to allow for the garage door. So for any of the straight cuts, cross cuts, I use the circular saw because it cuts through the ridges of the steel fairly easily. Any rip cuts down the steel, I use pneumatic snippers. Now this piece, I actually have to cut for the window. So there's some sections of it that I can cut straight, and then I'm using the nibbler to get the rounded cut. That's really the best thing to do, a round cut in the steel. I'm cutting the piece that has to go above the window. I finally figured out that I could just make a radius cut here. Ends up being about 30 inches in 30 radius, and I just marked it out. But the problem is, because everything's curved, it's really depending on where you take your measurements as to what the thickness is. And I tried this several times until I finally just put it in there. Radius cut number 3. Take 1. Nope, won't fit. Take 2. Nope, won't fit. Take 3. Nope, won't fit. And take 4. Finally. Okay, this is the piece that's going to go below the window, below the piece I just put up there. because there was no way I was going to be able to cut one piece that fit both the top and the bottom of the window. The problem with this is it leaves me a seam on the north side of the window that I didn't really want, but I don't think I could have done it any other way. Now, when the steel went across the top and across the bottom, the ridges didn't quite line up. So here I am kind of forcing the ridges to line up, pushing the steel a little bit. As long as you're not off by too much, the steel can be pushed into position. So now I'm on the downward slope of this thing. Okay, I'm not going to continue around the edge of the building today, but that is it. That is the west side of the converted horse barn, sided in steel, green and white. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Nailed it.